DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid. It's the building blocks from which we're all made, all our cells. It's a blueprint, it's the instruction manual for the creation of a human being is DNA. And so I'm here to talk to you about DNA activation. And first of all, I want to give you a bit of history, which is if you go back 7,000 years, every human being had a total of 13 helixes of DNA inside each of their body cells. Then, somewhere around 6,000 years ago, something happened. There are various reports on this and various websites on the internet claiming responsibility for different agencies. However, what is clear is that something was done to the whole human race, and 11 out of those helixes were basically switched off, deactivated, which left us with simply 2 helixes operating. And up until certainly the middle of the last century, 1950s, 1960s, beginning of 1970s, everyone that you met was operating from 2 helixes in all their body cells. Now, the helixes from the DNA have got a direct relationship from the chakras, which is the body's energy systems. Now, if you've only got the helixes number 1 and 2 operating, the implications for that in terms of the chakras is that the base chakra and the sacral chakra are the ones that are functioning fully, and there are going to be issues about the others. So let me explain to you what it would be like if to be a human being with only 2 helixes activated. What it would mean that you would reject automatically and outright anything that was not completely materialistic. So your values would be tied totally into money and material things. You'd have no interest in any spiritual matters whatsoever. In fact, you would scoff and make derogatory remarks against anyone that showed any spiritual inclinations. These would be the sort of indications of someone who's operating only from the first 2 helixes. For people who are operating on more helixes than that, there are some really classic symptoms and signs that you would look for. One is an increased interest in the non-material, an interest in spiritual matters. These would be indications that they are operating on more than just those 2 helixes. There's a particularly wonderful woman who's called Kishori Aird, who comes from Canada, and she wrote a book on DNA activation, and I was very fortunate to come across this book just over 2 years ago, and I worked on my own with the methods that she produced, and then I worked with my shamanic colleague Robert, and together we took her methodologies, which were designed to activate all the remaining helixes in a human being. Pretty powerful work, to say the least. Now, her system took literally months to implement, and as has always been my case with all these healing methods, I'm always looking to find a way to make them more efficient, to make them take less time. So as a result of the work we did together, we managed to get that down from a few months down to some hours. And we did the work together, just on each other, and got great results. In the meantime, my colleague has been beavering away working on this one. He got it down to about 2 or 3 hours. Last weekend we managed to get it down to less than an hour. Over the last few days I've got it down to about 15 minutes, give or take. So the first part is this explanation which I'm giving you now. So what you're going to get the opportunity to do in part 2 is to actually activate your own helixes and connect those with your own chakra system. And the big revelation to give you is that most people are aware of 7 human chakras, and that's because of the limited DNA activation most human beings have. There are actually a total of 13. And there's a really important point to make, which is the first 7 are very much contained within this physical system that we've got here, and the other 6 are very much not contained at all, and in fact they connect us to everything else. And when I say everything else, I literally mean everything else. So that's the idea. So around 6,000 years ago, something was done to severely limit human development. It was very deliberately done. We've all been firing on 2 cylinders ever since. We want to fire on 13. This is an opportunity for you to be able to do that. And in order to do that, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using 2 really powerful tools that the shaman uses all the time. One of them is the intent, which is you literally command your entire system to do what it is that you're going to do. And the second thing you're going to use the power of the word. I've spoken about how the power of the word can be used in a negative manner, in such things as gossip and rumour and innuendo. Well, here's a chance to make use of the power of the word in the most positive sense, which for self-healing and self-activation. and you are going to, as a result of this process, feel so much more tuned into the cosmos than you ever have done in an extraordinarily long time, to say the least. So that's the work. So that's pretty much wraps it up for the end of part 1. In part 2 we're going to go straight into it, and it's going to be a matter of you're going to need to stand up, and I'm going to ask you to repeat after me, and I'm going to break it down into all small sections so that you can work nice and easily with this. And there are going to be some hand gestures to accompany it. The most important thing is you're going to need to be standing up for this work. So you might need to orientate your computer so you can see clearly what's going on. Okay, thank you. End of part 1.